Discovery and Awakening. The service lights of the research vessel Artemis flickered as it drifted through the Kuiper Belt, its reinforced hull collecting a fine dust of cosmic particles. In the observation deck, Dr. Ilara Novak pressed her palm against the viewport, her reflection staring back at her. Dark eyes against copper skin, hair pulled back in a practical knot. Dr. Novak, the ship's comms crackled. Director Wei requests your presence in the command center. We found something. Ilara's heart quickened. After 18 months of scanning asteroids and collecting ice samples, they'd found little to justify the Interplanetary Science Foundation's investment. This expedition was supposed to prove her theories about pre-colonial human activity beyond Mars. Without results, her career was finished. The command center hummed with activity as holographic displays projected a three-dimensional image of what appeared to be an asteroid, except asteroids didn't have symmetrical patterns etched into their surfaces. We detected it behind the shadow of Eris. Director Wei explained, his weathered face illuminated by the displays. Energy signature unlike anything in our database. Definitely artificial. Alien? Ilara asked, leaning closer to examine the projection. Wei shrugged. Or something older than our records. The object measured roughly 200 meters in length, its surface composed of a material that absorbed rather than reflected their scanning beams. Most intriguing were the geometric patterns that pulsed with a faint blue luminescence along its hull. I'm leading the investigation team, Ilara said, not a question but a statement. We nodded reluctantly. Your expertise in xenorchaeology makes you the logical choice, but standard protocols apply. No direct contact until we've completed remote analysis. 6 hours later, Ilara guided a research shuttle toward the mysterious object, accompanied by Dr. Marcus Chen, the team's physicist, and Lieutenant Sato, their security escort. As they approached, Ilara felt an inexplicable sensation, like recognition or memory, stirring in her mind. Energy levels are increasing, Marcus reported, frowning at his instruments. It's responding to our approach. The object's surface patterns brightened, pulses of blue light racing along geometric lines. A section of the hull began to transform, the material flowing like liquid metal to create what was unmistakably an entrance. We should retreat, Sato warned, hand moving to her sidearm. This violates first contact protocols. But Ilara couldn't look away. The sensation in her mind had intensified, less like thought and more like instinct. It's not alien, she whispered. It's human. That's impossible, Marcus objected. Humanity didn't have this technology even now, let alone. It's waiting for us, Ilara interrupted, maneuvering the shuttle closer. For me. Without warning, a beam of pale blue light swept over their shuttle, penetrating the hull as if it were transparent. It lingered on Ilara, scanning her from head to toe before withdrawing. A voice resonated directly through their comm system. Genetic verification initiated. Primary match identified. 89.4% concordance with Novak lineage. It knows your name, Sato whispered, her weapon now drawn. Not exactly, Ilara replied, her mind racing. Novak is my mother's maiden name. I took it after she died. The scan completed, and the entrance expanded, interior lights activating to reveal a corridor leading deeper into the vessel. The voice spoke again. Welcome, designate Novak. The Sentinel awaits initialization. Against Sato's protests and Marcus's caution, Ilara guided their shuttle to dock with the mysterious vessel. The airlock sealed with a soft hiss, atmospheric pressure equalizing automatically. The air reads as breathable, Marcus reported, checking his instruments in disbelief. How is that possible after, however long this has been here? Self-sustaining environmental systems, Ilara suggested, already removing her helmet. The air tasted clean, with a faint metallic undertone. They followed the illuminated pathway through corridors that seemed to blend organic and mechanical design principles. The walls pulsed with circuitry that responded to their presence, brightening as they passed. Most striking were the inscriptions that lined every surface, symbols that resembled ancient human languages, but predated any known writing system. "This isn't like any human architecture I've ever seen," Marcus observed, scanning the walls with his instruments. "Because it's not supposed to exist," Ilara replied, tracing her fingers along the inscriptions. "At least not in our history books." They entered a circular chamber dominated by a command chair surrounded by dormant holographic interfaces. As Ilara approached, the systems activated, projecting star charts and technical schematics throughout the room. A humanoid figure materialized before them, a holographic representation of a woman in a uniform unlike any modern military design. "I am HFY, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Array," the hologram announced, "caretaker of the Sentinel and guardian of the Reclamation Protocol." "What is the Sentinel?" Ilara asked, drawn toward the command chair as if pulled by an invisible force. "The Sentinel is one of 7 vessels containing the sum of humanity's first civilization," Arayat explained. "Positioned throughout the solar system to await reactivation when the threat returns." "First civilization," Marcus interrupted. "What threat?" The hologram's expression remained impassive. "Full disclosure requires authorized access. Genetic Designate Novak must initiate neural synchronization to access complete archives." Ilara hesitated before the command chair. "You're saying humans had an advanced civilization before recorded history?" "That's approximately 15,000 standard years ago," Araya confirmed. "Human civilization achieved technological singularity. The civilization you know represents humanity's second ascension. If that's true, why isn't there any evidence?" Sato demanded. "Because it was deliberately erased," Ilara whispered, "the pieces falling into place. The archaeological gap in human development. The missing evolutionary links. They weren't missing. They were removed." Araya nodded. "The Reclamation Protocol required complete technological regression to ensure humanity's survival." Before Ilara could ask more questions, an alarm sounded throughout the chamber. Araya's form flickered as she announced, "Alert. Unauthorized vessels approaching. Corporate identification signatures detected." External view screens activated, showing 3 sleek ships bearing the insignia of Nexus Industries, the megacorporation that had been trying to acquire the ISF expedition for months. "They must have tracked our communications," Sato said grimly. "Corporate directive. Secure any alien technology for exclusive development," Marcus translated. "If they get their hands on this ship, they'll exploit it without understanding its purpose," Ilara finished. "Araya, what happens if Nexus takes control of the Sentinel?" "The Sentinel responds only to authorized genetic lineages," Araya replied. "However, forced entry attempts will trigger defensive protocols that may harm the intruders and damage critical systems." A transmission broke through. "Research Vessel Artemis. This is Captain Rice of Nexus Security. The anomaly you've discovered falls under corporate salvage rights. Stand down and prepare for boarding." Ilara exchanged glances with her companions. "We can't let them take this. Defensive options are limited without full system activation," Araya informed them. "Neural synchronization required for complete functionality." Ilara approached the command chair, her decision made. "What does synchronization involve?" "Your consciousness will temporarily merge with the Sentinel systems," Araya explained. "Warning, the process permanently alters neural pathways to accommodate enhanced data processing. It cannot be reversed." Marcus grabbed Ilara's arm. "You can't seriously be considering this. We don't know what it will do to you." Ilara gently removed his hand. "If what Araya says is true, this ship contains knowledge that could transform our understanding of human history and protect us from whatever threat is returning." Outside, the Nexus vessels deployed boarding shuttles, their magnetic grapples preparing to breach the Sentinel's hull. "Time is limited," Araya warned. "Neural synchronization requires approximately 3 minutes to complete." Ilara sat in the command chair, which immediately reconfigured to her body dimensions. Do it. Filaments extended from the headrest, connecting with Ilara's neural implant, standard equipment for research scientists to interface with expedition data systems. Information flooded her consciousness, star charts spanning millennia, weapon systems beyond current human understanding, and memories that weren't her own. A civilization at its peak, then falling beneath a terrifying enemy. She saw Earth as it once was, with megacities that reached the stratosphere and orbital shipyards constructing vessels like the Sentinel. She felt the desperation of a people facing extinction, their last hope the implementation of Protocol Omega. Strategic technological regression. Full systems online, Ilara announced, her voice overlaid with new authority as the ship's ancient engines roared to life. The Nexus boarding shuttle scattered as the Sentinel's defense systems activated, creating a shimmering energy barrier. Through Ilara's enhanced perception, Araya's information unfolded with crystal clarity. The Sentinel was one of 7 vessels hidden throughout the solar system, each containing a fragment of humanity's collective knowledge, preserved for the day when the harvesters returned, silicon-based collective organisms that systematically consumed worlds, transforming matter into extensions of themselves. We need to warn Earth, Ilara said, the ship's tactical systems highlighting the most efficient return trajectory. The harvesters are returning. Long-range sensors detected their approach 3 days ago. They'll never believe us, Sato objected. Not without proof. Then we'll bring them proof, Ilara replied, her consciousness now intertwined with the Sentinel's vast database. Setting course for Earth. The second awakening begins now. As the ancient vessel accelerated toward the inner solar system, leaving the Nexus ships far behind, Ilara felt the weight of 15,000 years of hidden history pressing upon her. Humanity had faced extinction once before and chosen to forget rather than remember. This time, they would need to remember everything if they hoped to survive. Return and revelation. The journey to Earth took 36 hours, a fraction of the time it would have taken using conventional drives. Ilara spent most of it in the command chair, her consciousness interwoven with the Sentinel systems as ancient knowledge flowed into her mind. Marcus and Seto watched with growing concern as she spoke less frequently, her eyes reflecting the blue glow of the ship's interfaces. Is she still herself? Marcus asked Araya, keeping his voice low though he suspected Ilara could hear everything aboard the vessel. The neural synchronization process preserves personality and core memories, Araya assured him. However, the human mind requires time to adapt to the expanded information framework. And afterwards? Sato pressed. Will she return to normal? Araya's holographic expression revealed nothing. There is no precedent for normal in this scenario. The designates were never intended to exist this far removed from first civilization context. As they approached Earth orbit, 12 Earth Defense Force vessels moved to intercept, surrounding them in a standard containment formation. Their weapons, railguns, and plasma torpedoes seemed primitive compared to the Sentinel's capabilities that Ilara now understood intimately. Unidentified vessel, you have entered Earth-restricted space, came the transmission from the EDF flagship Indomitable. Power down and prepare for boarding. Ilara opened a channel, her voice steady despite the rush of information still cascading through her consciousness. This is Dr. Ilara Novak of the ISF research vessel Artemis. I've discovered a prehistorical human spacecraft with critical information about an imminent threat to Earth. A pause. Then, Dr. Novak, you are ordered to surrender the vessel. Defense scanners showed technology of unknown design. Compliance is mandatory. Before Ilara could respond, a private channel opened. A woman with silver-streaked black hair and Admiral's insignia appeared on the view screen. Dr. Novak, I'm Admiral Helena Harlow, EDF Central Command. You've caused quite the commotion. Nexus Industries has filed theft charges against you, and my superiors are concerned about the weapon signatures we're detecting. Admiral, Ilara replied, this ship predates known human history. It contains evidence of an advanced civilization that existed 15,000 years ago. The same threat that nearly destroyed them is returning, and we have less than 2 weeks to prepare. Harlow's expression remained carefully neutral. Dock at EDF Station Artemis. We'll discuss your discoveries there. 6 hours later, Ilara sat in a sterile interrogation room, neural dampeners preventing access to the Sentinel's interface she'd grown accustomed to. Across from her, Admiral Harlow studied data from Ilara's neural scans, while 2 security officers stood guard. Your brain activity shows unprecedented patterns, Harlow noted. Medical says your neural architecture has been fundamentally altered by unknown technology. Area integrated with my systems, Ilara explained. The information is genuine, Admiral. The harvesters are real, and they're approaching our solar system. Harlow set down her tablet. Dr. Novak, are you familiar with the lunar excavation of 2089? Ilara frowned. The mining operation that discovered those unusual crystal formations. It was abandoned after structural collapses killed 17 workers. It wasn't just structural collapse, Harlow said quietly. My father led that expedition. The official report doesn't mention what they found buried beneath the lunar surface, crystalline technology with impossible properties. The night after analyzing samples, my father woke screaming about crystal ships consuming worlds. He never fully recovered. The harvesters leave crystalline remains, Ilara said, leaning forward. Your father found evidence of the first invasion. Or he found natural formations that drove him to paranoid delusions, Harlow countered, just as this ship has apparently done to you. The door opened, admitting a tall woman with unruly gray hair and mismatched eyes. One brown, one artificial blue. Dr. Ilara Novak, she said with undisguised enthusiasm. I've been following your work since your dissertation on proto-linguistic patterns in pre-colonial artifacts. Dr. Novak, this is Professor Samira Tirani, Harlow introduced. Our foremost xenobiologist and the only scientist willing to risk her reputation on your claims. Tirani approached Ilara with fascination. I've reviewed your neural data. If it's a delusion, it's the most structured one I've ever documented. It's not a delusion, Ilara insisted. The Sentinel contains humanity's entire technological heritage, preserved to help us fight when the harvesters returned. And you claim to be genetically linked to its original creators? Tirani asked. My DNA contains markers ARIA recognized from the Novak lineage, one of 7 bloodlines preserved to ensure proper succession. Tirani nodded thoughtfully. Admiral, I'd like permission to access the Sentinel's databases directly. Denied, Harlow replied firmly. The vessel has been quarantined. Our engineers can't even breach the hull without risking damage. Because it was designed to protect itself, Ilara explained. It will only fully respond to authorized personnel. Convenient, Harlow said skeptically. Tirani leaned forward. There's another way to verify her claims. I've detected unusual radiation patterns at the heliosphere, exactly where the Sentinel's records predict the harvesters would emerge. Harlow's composed facade cracked slightly. You didn't report this. Because I'd be dismissed as quickly as Dr. Novak here, Tirani countered. But the data is clear. Something massive is decelerating at the edge of our solar system. A junior officer burst into the room without knocking. Admiral, the Sentinel has broken quarantine. It's activating its propulsion systems. The 3 rushed to the observation deck in time to see the Sentinel's engines ignite with blue fire, the ship effortlessly evading pursuing military vessels as it accelerated toward the outer system. It's going to intercept the harvesters, Ilara whispered, understanding instantly. Without a pilot. Can it function autonomously? Harlow demanded. Not at full capacity, Ilara replied. ARIA must have initiated the contingency protocol. The Sentinel will attempt to delay the harvesters while we prepare. Prepare how? Harlow asked. If what you're saying is true, we're facing an enemy that defeated a civilization far more advanced than ours. Not defeated, Ilara corrected. Our ancestors chose regression as a strategy. They hid their technology and knowledge, appearing non-threatening until the harvesters moved on. But they kept that knowledge, Tyranny said, the implications dawning on her. In ships like the Sentinel. 7 vessels, Ilara confirmed, each containing a fragment of our heritage, waiting for the designated bloodlines to reclaim them. And where are these other ships? Harlow asked. I know their coordinates, Ilara said. The Sentinel's database contained their locations, one beneath Europa's ice, another in Venus's cloud layers, a third in the Martian poles. Harlow made a decision. Professor Tyranny, assemble a team of our best scientists. I want everything we can learn from Dr. Novak's neural data. I'll handle the politicians. They won't believe you, Ilara warned. Then I'll make them believe, Harlow replied grimly. My father spent 20 years being dismissed as a madman. I won't let his vindication come too late to save humanity. Over the next week, governments worldwide reacted with predictable skepticism to Harlow's warnings. Nexus Industries launched a media campaign claiming the Sentinel was their proprietary technology, stolen by Ilara. Only when long-range telescopes confirmed the approaching mass, too large and too purposeful to be natural, did the tide begin to turn. Ilara worked tirelessly with Tyranny, extracting every piece of useful information from her enhanced memory. Teams were dispatched to locate the other Sentinel vessels, while defense forces mobilized worldwide. Without the neural dampeners, Ilara maintained a tenuous connection to the original Sentinel, now positioned at the solar system's edge as humanity's first line of defense. It's buying us time, she explained during an emergency United Earth Council meeting. But it can't stop them alone. What exactly are we facing? Asked the council chair, a stern woman whose skepticism had finally given way to grim acceptance. Ilara projected images extracted from her memories, crystalline entities that consumed matter, converting it into more of themselves, spreading across worlds like a glittering cancer. The harvesters don't recognize us as intelligent life, she explained. They perceive organic species as resources to be harvested. Our ancestors discovered that by appearing technologically primitive, we'd registered as a low-priority target. So we pretend to be primitive again. Another council member scoffed. No, Ilara replied firmly. That strategy only worked because the harvesters were continuing their galactic harvest cycle. They're returning specifically for Earth now, and they won't be deterred by appearances. Then what do you suggest, Dr. Novak? The chair asked. We fight, Ilara said simply. With every piece of our forgotten heritage we can reclaim in time. 2 days later, the expedition to Europa returned with the second Sentinel vessel, this one containing weapons technology that could be adapted to existing defense platforms. The Martian team reported locating the third ship, buried beneath the polar ice cap. Humanity worked with unprecedented unity, corporations and governments alike pooling resources toward a common defense. Ilara stood on the observation deck of EDF Station Artemis, watching Earth rotate below, beautiful, fragile, and unaware of how close it had come to extinction once before. Admiral Harlow joined her, offering a cup of steaming tea. The first Sentinel has engaged the Harvester Vanguard, Harlow reported. It's performing beyond expectations, but the main force will arrive within 48 hours. Ilara nodded, feeling the distant echo of the battle through her connection to the ship. It was never meant to fight alone. Will we be ready? Harlow asked. The question weighted with responsibility. We'll have to be, Ilara replied. We've adapted the Venusian Sentinel's shield technology to cover major population centers. The weapons systems from Europa are being integrated into our defense grid. It's not what our ancestors had, but it's more than we had a week ago. And after, Harlow pressed, if we survive this, what happens to all this recovered technology? To you. Ilara smiled faintly. That's the question, isn't it? Do we embrace our heritage and become what we once were, or do we find a new path? The station's alert system interrupted their conversation. Admiral Harlow to Command Center. Harvester main force has accelerated. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. As they hurried through the station's corridors, Ilara felt a sudden surge through her neural connection, a burst of data from the first Sentinel before it went silent, destroyed in the initial engagement, but not before transmitting critical tactical information. In the command center, holographic displays showed the approaching Harvester fleet, crystalline structures of impossible geometry, beautiful and terrifying in their alien symmetry. "The first Sentinel is gone," Ilara announced, feeling its loss like a physical pain. "But it completed its mission. I have their attack patterns, their vulnerabilities." She interfaced directly with the command systems, uploading the tactical data. "Their crystalline structures resonate at specific frequencies. If we modulate our weapons to match these harmonic patterns, we can shatter them." Tyranny finished, already calculating the necessary adjustments. As Earth's combined defense forces made their final preparations, Ilara addressed the assembled command staff, her eyes reflecting the determination that had carried humanity through its forgotten history. 15,000 years ago, our ancestors faced this same enemy and chose to hide rather than be destroyed. They preserved their knowledge, their technology, and even their bloodlines for this moment. Not so we could repeat their strategy, but so we could learn from it and find a better way. She gestured to the view screens showing defense platforms worldwide, incorporating technology from multiple Sentinel vessels, ancient wisdom adapted to modern purpose. Today, we don't hide. Today, humanity stands and fights. The first Harvester vessels entered Earth's orbit 6 hours later, their crystalline surfaces refracting sunlight in prismatic displays that belied their destructive purpose. They were met not with the primitive defenses they expected, but with weapons forged from humanity's forgotten past, modified by their present ingenuity. As the battle commenced, Ilara stood at the heart of Earth's defense coordination, her enhanced mind processing tactical data at speeds no unmodified human could match. Through her, the knowledge of humanity's first civilization flowed into its second, not as replacement, but as complement. And humanity, standing united against the approaching darkness, revealed its true nature, not as the primitive species the Harvesters had dismissed millennia ago, but as inheritors of a legacy older and more powerful than they had ever imagined. The Sentinel had awakened. Humanity remembered. And this time, they would not be forced to forget.